Welcome to Larking Gowen Insights, accountancy and business advice for all, a series that gives you bite-sized tips and guidance on tax, funding, legislation, reforms and much more. With case studies, business advisory and sector specials and even interviews, our team of experts are committed to helping you navigate the world of accounting and finance with a variety of presenters from across our specialisms. So, let's get on with today's show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to FUNDcast, the Charities podcast. This is our podcast series where we dive deep into the issues that matter to charities. I'm Emma Hayward, and this is my colleague, Giles Kirkham.
Hello.
We're charity advisors at Larking Gowen, and together we are going to explore a range of hot topics that are challenging charity leaders at the moment. So, Giles, what are we going to talk about today?
Hello, Emma. Thank you very much. We're covering a couple of new technologies that are very much in the news and which could fundamentally change how we live and work. There have been huge claims for them. These are firstly cryptocurrencies and secondly AI and specifically ChatGPT and similar tools. Both are exciting for charities and both carry challenges.
Whoa, let me stop you there. Tell me first what crypto is and are charities using it?
Yeah, okay. Cryptocurrency is a form of digital currency. It's unregulated and it uses technology to record transaction histories and for making payments between users. It relies on blockchain technology, which in sort of accounting language is a ledger for transactions that is owned and maintained by the users of the system rather than being controlled by any single authority. Cryptocurrencies have been around for a while now. We don't know how many English and Wales charities are using crypto, but we do know that some are accepting crypto donations or have benefited from receiving proceeds from the sale of NFTs, non-fungible tokens.
Okay. Have you got any specific examples of what you mean by that? Because that sounds like an area we perhaps should explore more.
Okay, yeah. Well, we get inquiries from both commercial clients and from time to time from charities. For commercial clients, often the questions around the sort of taxation, and in particular, how gains and losses indeed are taxed on cryptocurrency. There are some charities, however, that have dipped their toes into the crypto waters. One of the first was Save the Children, and they're very positive about their experience. Their website is really interesting about crypto. It has a page called Why Donate Bitcoin, Ethereum, NFTs, and other cryptocurrencies to charity. They go on to say on their webpage, your cryptocurrency donations have supported children fleeing conflicts like Ukraine and Afghanistan, families suffering from the hunger crisis in countries like Somalia, and those impacted climate disasters like Hurricane Ian in the United States. They say that going back on their history, they say that in 2013, as far back as that, they accepted a Bitcoin donation in response to Typhoon Haiyan, which was a cyclone hitting the Philippines. And in fact, they were the first charity to accept Bitcoin. They're saying that doing so may have enabled them to access new donors and funds that might have been denied to them previously. And they're really positive about this. They go on to list a range of cryptocurrencies, and they say also that they accept proceeds from a non fungible token sale once converted into cryptocurrency. They say that they'll take anonymous donations. Our reaction on that is that charities do need to think about that, as they should have procedures. They are required to have procedures to verify and identify the source of any substantial donations and a policy on what to do if offered an anonymous donation. Going back to Save the Children, crypto donations have enabled them to support children fleeing the war in Ukraine and families affected by hunger crisis in Somalia, among other things. So far, they say they've raised just over £6 million in crypto donations.
Wow.
We know that other charities are also accepting crypto, including the British Red Cross, now accepting more than 170 cryptocurrencies.
Certainly, it sounds a positive. If I worked for a charity, though, and we were offered a donation in crypto, I take your point about knowing your donor, but would we how would the charity accept that donation? We're not talking about going to the bank. How does it all work?
Well, technically, before accepting a cryptocurrency, the charity needs to open a wallet with a wallet provider. As a matter of prudence, just taking care, the charity, you're not going to make the wallet details publicly available, because in some cases this would allow donors to uh, give you cryptocurrency without your knowledge and without you carrying out the necessary steps. You would be losing that element of control. Crypto wallets keep your what's called your private keys, which are the passwords that give you access to cryptocurrencies. They keep them safe and accessible. So that means that you can send and receive cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and like Ethereum. And they come in different forms, from hardware wallets, which look like a USB stick, to mobile apps, which makes crypto, I understand, as easy as shopping with a credit card online.
That sounds quite straightforward. So, if the charity I work for set up that wallet for a donation, what should we do next? How does the charity take the crypto and turn it into something useful for the charity's benefit? Should the charity hold on to crypto or sell it?
Okay, yeah, that's the question. If you receive the cryptocurrency, what do you then do with it? It's likely that if you receive cryptocurrency as donations, you will decide to convert them immediately into a traditional currency, into a regulated asset, or a regulated asset, if you like. Overall, we understand that only perhaps a very small number of charities would engage in actually holding or trading in cryptocurrencies, or might be thinking about ways in which they can use this to further charities' purposes, which, if they are doing so, poses interesting and complex questions.
Okay, that's fair enough. But why would a donor wish to give to charity as a crypto asset as opposed to traditional donation?
Well, there are attractions to donors because the technology enables them can enable them to see more clearly how the donation has been spent. Um, they can also remain anonymous. Uh, Also, transactions tend to be faster and cheaper than traditional payment methods, but as they don't have to use third parties such as banks.
Right. But surely crypto comes with greater risk. We've seen currency fluctuations in the news. I'm sure that cryptocurrency has also been subject to such fluctuations. Shouldn't charities be thinking twice about getting into something so risky?
Well, exactly. And this is where you're getting us onto the accountants being cautious and warning due
Mm,
prudence bit of the podcast. Um, Charity Commission have issued guidance. They are treading a line, and they're balancing it between looking to guide charities to pick up and take opportunities, but also warning about how they might look to manage the risks. In 2023, they updated their CC8 guidance, which is the guidance about internal financial
right.
controls. And for the first time, they included a section on crypto. And they warned trustees, and I quote, of the many risks associated with crypto assets.
Okay.
Just to think about the example of one charity that started on the crypto route and then pulled back. We can look at International Animal Rescue. They certainly had unpleasant experiences. They began operating within the crypto space in late 2021, but they quickly encountered a number of issues. Within a few months, it was announced that they would no longer affect crypto donations. Why the quick turnaround? Well, for them, the biggest problem was the environmental impact. Cryptocurrency transactions are highly energy intensive. Um, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of what's called mining machines racing against each other to solve complex algorithms. So, for So this uses energy. So for a charity, remember this is the International Animal Rescue, for a charity that specializes in animal protection and conservation, there are potential reputational issues around these financial technologies in terms of the energy use and the environment that are problematic. If you set environmental concerns aside, also, of course, the crypto market's highly volatile and there can be huge fluctuations in value. Notably, recall some months ago, value of BTC suddenly crashed by 25%. Ultimately, the charity, and the Charity Commission will be clear on this. It is up to trustees to determine whether crypto is safe for their charity to use.
Okay, that sounds like there's a lot for them to consider. Can you summarise the risks and the factors that trustees should be considering?
As we've talked about elsewhere, Charity Commission normally will not say that the trustees have made an incorrect decision. Normally, they are looking to assess whether trustees made a decision that is within the range of decisions that a reasonably informed board of trustees might reasonably make. But in order to help you make those
Right.
decisions properly, they give guidance. And three key areas where you need to consider this is that there is transparency. People can hide their true identities, which might facilitate crime.
Yep.
Volatility. These things can go up and down, and they can move very, very fast if you are accepting and then holding value within these currencies.
Yeah, certainly.
You're taking a risk, and it is more normal, even if they accept in these currencies, to convert into a conventional currency very fast. And then, as I mentioned, the environmental impact. It takes a lot of energy to run the electricity to run these transactions. Using energy leads to emissions, it has environmental impact. So, I think those are the three areas up front.
I have to say, you refer to the Charity Commission, and those are serious things that need to be considered. What sort of practical guidelines are there? You've mentioned the Charity Commission. How does that factor in or convert into real life action?
If you are looking for a checklist of actions to take, I think
Yep.
one would be evaluate the benefits and risks as you would with any important decision about a charity. And this might include taking appropriate advice. Secondly, know your donor, which can be tricky in the context of crypto assets. 3, consider environmental impact, in particular if that's in your objects.
Yes.
I think 4 is reputational risks. What can go wrong and how could that affect the reputation of your charity? I'm going to take a quote from Charity Commission here. They say, for many, these standard considerations will lead them to err on the side of caution until more is known about the market and there is more regulation in the UK. Recent plunges in cryptocurrency values emphasize that such caution is prudent.
Running a charity is not supposed to be risk free, though, is it? If they're saying that.
No, agreed. And trustees who do decide to dip their toes into the crypto water should write down their decision making carefully, leave a trail. This is what will protect you if things don't go as well as envisaged.
Thank you. I think that sort of summarises important factors to consider and great advice. We also said we were going to talk about AI technologies like ChatGPT. I know that there's been a lot in the press in 23 and 24 about this.
Yeah, the use of AI, the use of ChatGPT has grown incredibly fast. It is going much swifter than any technology before. Um, in contrast to crypto assets, it is hugely widely used, and I think in direct terms will continue to be so.
Okay, I suppose what do you mean it's more widely used? How do you think it
Well,
is?
Do you use crypto, Emma?
No, no, I don't.
Me neither. I'm an accountant. I'm cautious. I don't put large amounts of money on horses either. I mean, I don't find that fun. However, I do use Chat GPT and other tools such as Bing Chat Enterprise regularly. I mean, I used today and yesterday.
Okay. How did you use it? What do you use it for?
Well, for AI, there's a huge breadth of applications, and they are growing incredibly fast. Perhaps one of the characteristics is the speed. Is the
Mhm.
speed in which things are developing, and the speed in which you need to move to keep up. It will come to you. AI will come to you because it's embedded in all sorts of things, in all sorts of your software. There's a chatbot on the Larking Gowen website, for instance. But anyone with a phone or laptop can also register on a browser or app like ChatGPT or similar. As I said, I also mentioned Bing Chat Enterprise. And you ask it a question like you do Google, but it's not Google at all. As Google will suggest websites for you to visit to answer your question, ChatGPT, on the other hand, will produce a stream of text. You don't generally know where it comes from particularly from ChatGPT, because it's generated by the program using an algorithm that we don't pretend to understand, and it scrapes the web as it's described at a point in time. Fundamentally, it works by having a sort of human-like written conversation with you, responding to natural language requests.
Okay. What kind of requests or questions do you ask it? Or can you ask it?
You might ask it to write you text for an appeal. You might ask it to write me a poem for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, or write me a letter to the council to complain that we're still waiting for them to sign off this year's annual grant. You might ask them to write a slide presentation explaining how to correct the grammar in this text, identify action points in my draft report, answer this email or exam question. Now, yeah, exam
Hold
question.
on. Exam question.
I think in terms of governance, there are some really, if you are involved in preparing agendas and papers ahead of a meeting, you might, what is always key is actually having, because meeting papers can be massive, is about doing appropriate, is writing good
Yeah.
summaries. You could quite easily put the text in, and ChatGPT would do a good job of summarizing. You of course have to read it. That's one way.
Okay.
Similarly, after the meeting, it might help you with your minute taking if you're using the right tool.
Okay. That certainly sounds useful. Um, I have heard of something called a hallucination. What is meant by that?
Right. The point about hallucinations is that what comes out of,
Mhm.
say, ChatGPT is not always right. In fact, it's often wrong. You must start with an assumption that you don't start off by believing anything factual.
Right.
Yeah. So some of the generative AI tools are poor research tools, but they're great at giving you ideas and great at inspiring and great drafting tools. Sometimes what it might, I mean, I know you were doing some work on it yesterday, but what it can throw out is a bit formal, the language.
Very much so.
In which case, tell it to lighten up, and it will lighten up the language, and then it might go a bit too far, or might not. But certainly, check anything factual. Don't assume it's correct.
Right. Okay. So for charities, it seems there are benefits. It's clearly, I know it's easy to sign up to and use. It can make people more productive. It can produce or edit text and in a sort of limited time. And now we know post lockdown, volunteer numbers in charities are lower than ever. So it could be used as a tool to leverage output and will be useful. So I can see that.
Yeah, exactly, and it's more powerful still. It can write computer code. Yeah, it can analyze
Right.
data in a spreadsheet that you link to it. Do be aware of privacy issues. Make sure that your organizational policy or your IT people have signed it off have signed it off for the confidentiality issues for the purpose that you're going to use it for. Fundraisers in particular need to understand if they're setting one of these tools to work on identifying or donors or for personal data. And it can be wrong, and it often is. So make sure, again, check the results, check the output.
Thanks, Giles. Yeah, that certainly sounds like it is a very potentially powerful tool and is changing.
Yeah, I think to summarize, beware, use these tools, try them out. As an organization, you've got to work out where responsibilities sit.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, do you have policies for use? Who is looking after these tools? Who in the executive, who in your charity has the time and the competency to be pushing use of these tools forward, but also to be monitoring them and also be considering the risks, because there are certainly organizational risks, as I say, around data and around the integrity of the information that comes out of it. And I think at board level, if you've perhaps not asked these questions, then you should be doing so and perhaps taking them to your away day. There is a very specific risk to these tools, to AI, which we haven't seen in any other technology. It's just because of the sheer massive speed with which it's developing.
Yes, it certainly sounds as though ChatGPT and AI is developing far faster than crypto, which seems, as it's been around for a lot longer, it seems relatively slow moving in comparison. Sadly, we've reached the end of our slot today. So thank you. It's been really interesting.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, Emma. And we do have other podcasts that listeners might enjoy. We've covered gift aid. We've covered CIO versus CIC. What does that mean? Listen to the podcast to find out. Also, myths, common myths about charities. I think that was a good one.
Yeah.
So we hope you've enjoyed today and those other topics.
Thank you to you and to our listeners for listening.
Yeah, thank you and goodbye until next time.
Thank you for joining us for Larking Gowen Insights, Accountancy and Business Advice for All. Don't forget, you can find more information about today's topic and more about how our team of experts can help you in your business by visiting our website, larking-gowen.co.uk. Join us again next time for another fascinating insight into the world of accounting and finance.